Hi, thank you for joining me. I'm Esther. I'm going to jump right in today as I continue on this journey of transformation and sharing it with you. Um, I'm actually going to tell you a quick story about something that happened back in 2008. I had three little girls. They were, all within 3 years apart. So it was a lot as a parent. I was in a very tumultuous marriage. Um, most days were really, really tough. And I was dealing with some major health issues as well. Um, you know, yeah. So I had had one of those days where my, husband and I had been fighting, God knows how long at that point. And, things were obviously really tough with having three little ones. As, any parent, even in a good marital relationship, good security, stability, they experience this. So um, I was very, very alone, very, very lonely. Um, my husband and I just fought all the time, and there was very, very little peace. And so I had talked to my mother-in-law, and she would, you know, prophesy over people. She would ask God for a word and he would give it to her and she would tell the people and blah blah. Anyway, at one point she and I had talked about that I would like a word from God. I would really like to hear from God. Um, I don't know how much time passed when this would have been back in July, I think, of 2008. Anyway, one day I got in the shower. It was in the afternoon, pretty common for motherhood to finally make it in the shower. But I went in my shower in my bathroom and I was just sobbing in that shower. And I remember sitting on the floor of the shower, and just sobbing and crying out to God. And I was so alone. I mean, I sat in that shower until the water was running cold. And I kept saying to God, do you love me? I need somebody to love me. I need somebody to love me. Do you love me? And I felt within myself, I love you. Um, I love you. The water ran cold. I got out of the shower. I dried off my face and, went back to being a mom. I probably had a furrowed brow, but at least I wasn't crying anymore. So that was, 2008 in July. Um, so I'm going to read to you. I didn't tell anybody about that shower, by the way. I mean, this was my, quote unquote conversation with God, on my heartbreak and my sorrow. I was breaking down, emotionally crying out to God in my loneliness and in my desperation. Um, so anyway, and let's see. Oh, it's dated. So it was on July 16th of 2008. So this was weeks, maybe a month after that shower took place because that may have been in June. And I remember it being an amount of time in between that shower and when this word came in from God. So my mother-in-law, she sends this over email to me. I was at prayer meeting last night, and while we were praying, I saw and heard several things. Someone told me their dream, and I was supposed to pray about it. When I came home, I did as they asked, and I sent it to them. When I got up this morning, I just randomly flipped open my Bible, and it landed on Daniel, which seems significant now. Daniel is my ex-husband's name, by the way. Then you came to mind, and this is what I believe the Lord wants to say to you. I had forgotten to ask him for something for you. He reminded me. To you have been given 3 gifts with their own special gifts inside. Each will grow and develop at their own individual pace. Do not fret when one does not do as well as the others, because in that one are mighty gifts that you will not understand. She will go forth as a mighty friend of God, a warrior. She will not be what you want her to be. She is mine, and I desire different things in her. Stand firm in the knowledge that I have given you strength to take care of these gifts. As a mother, you shall be last, and they will be first. I have entrusted you with my greatest treasure. Use it wisely. Do not fret when things do not come your way easily. Things that are worth having are worth fighting for. You will see a little later how these gifts will impact your life and the joy they will bring to you. Stand firm in the Word. Pray for each gift you have, knowing that you are the mother of greatness. Open your eyes to this possibility that all things are not in your hands, but are my responsibility. Your job is to love and be responsible for your gifts to make them shine. Ask me for what you need. Humble yourself before me. I am your God. Come boldly to the throne in your need. Prophesy over your life and your children. Book knowledge is not heart knowledge. Worship me spirit to spirit and in truth. I have a place for you. Get ready. Let me show you where I want you to be. Lean on me no matter what is going on around you. When you are calm, your house will be calm. You are the hub of the wheel and everything spins around you. If you are not calm, no one will be calm. You do not have to worry about others. Put me first and all things will be added to you. This is a promise. I will take care of the rest. Let me work in your life. Search for me while I still may be found. I asked if there was anything else. Tell her I really love her. She heard me speak to her. Yes, it was me. Train up a child in the way they should grow. Ask for Daniel 1:17 for your children. Pray this over them daily. Oh, it gets me every time. Daniel 1:17 says, as for these 4 children, God gave unto them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. I prayed that over my children for years, my 3 girls. And I used to wonder why God gave me a verse that had 4 children in it. I was like, is there not a verse or something that I should have prayed or could have prayed that, was just for my 3 kids? And I now say I prayed for my son long before he was ever even a thought. Because he was never planned. There's a almost 7-year gap between my youngest daughter and my son. So yeah, that little guy is special because, I prayed for him without knowing. Anyway, I had that word from God. And it seems pertinent in so many ways because, I doubted so much that was God. I was struggling so much. And really, I was at one of my weakest points. That was shortly before I separated from my husband. Again, I separated and left him. We had split up so many times. And this was one of the longer separations. In August of 2008, I left him again until 2010. So in that shower, there was a lot of doubt. And I carried it with me. So I want to talk today about that doubt that I had and that we as human beings have. So I was listening to the Bible the other night, and it was in Matthew. And I had this total epiphany, I call it, a revelation of Jesus and doubts. So, in James, it's actually James 1:6-8. I had to look up some of these verses because I couldn't quite remember from my upbringing, and Although scripture I've memorized, I couldn't remember a lot of these references. So I did look these up after the fact. But so in James 1, 6 through 8, it's often used to tell us that doubting is a sin. Because I've spent my life being told that doubt is a sin, and that people who doubt don't have faith and can't be Christians because that's not fruit of the Spirit, right? Um, so I discovered, though, that couldn't be further from the truth. Doubt is a thought combined with a feeling, usually based on experience. So James is talking about the spirit that we are, which is, this spirit that our physical body is like the spacesuit of. Like we're wearing this physical body, right? So, but we are spiritual energy. That's literally who we are. Um, so the spirit that we are combined with the Spirit of God that allows us to be co-creators um, in our current world. So we live in a spiritual realm where we can align ourselves with the natural vibrations of the all-powerful energy that is God. Or we can deny our power within ourselves as spiritual beings wearing a physical body in alignment with God. So in order to manifest our needs, which are all available to us, right? So, I mean, you may not agree with me, but they're all available to us. So in order to manifest these needs and desires of this human experience, we must align with God. And that's what James is saying. It's not a sin to doubt. If it was, then Jesus wasn't perfect. And we know Jesus didn't sin, right? Because that's the whole point of Jesus dying for us, is that he is God who came down and was perfect and sinless, right? So in Matthew 4, 5 through 7, Jesus was out in the wilderness. He was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And he was hungry, probably weak, probably tired, maybe even hallucinating at that point. I don't know, I've never gone without food for quite that long, so I don't exactly know what he would be experiencing other than super, super hungry. And Matthew even says that he was hungry. So Satan comes to tempt Jesus, because why not, right? Isn't that such a human experience, a human thing to be tempted when we're at our weakest point, when we're like super hungry? Because, I get hangry. Like I get really hangry. My sugar starts dropping. I get super hangry. But it's easy. It's easy to doubt things when we're hangry, when our cup is empty. But when I was in that shower, my cup was empty. I had nothing left to give. And I still had to, dry my face and go be a mother and a wife and a worker. I was a server at the time. And the spiritual guider, the cook, all the things. And I was on empty. I was hangry. So that's when we're tempted the most, right? When we're the most vulnerable at our weakest point. We're too tired to discern within our own spirit to know what is aligned with our higher power and what's aligned with the evil or negative forces of this world. Satan comes to tempt Jesus and tells him to turn the stones into food. Jesus quotes the Bible right back to Satan, which verifies that Jesus is aligned with his own spiritual higher power, which is God. So now let's remember that Jesus is being tempted by things that would correct or heal Jesus's current situation. So these aren't out of left field kind of temptations that no big deal, that Jesus can just say, no, I'm good. No, these are like really important current things that Jesus is dealing with, okay? Like right then and there in his human experience. In verse 5, Satan tells him takes him rather, to the highest point of the temple. And of course, this is an experience within his own mind or whatever. He didn't physically go to this temple. But, and Satan says to him, if you are God, throw yourself down. And then proceeds to quote scripture of how the angels will protect him. Jesus replied with more scripture, and that really just shows that he's aligned in himself. Okay. Sorry, I have most of this written down because I've been really scatterbrained these past couple days. I didn't even post a video yesterday because I was too scatterbrained to do it. So just an FYI, I've got like talking points here this time so I don't forget and just not do it. So anyway, Jesus replied with more scripture that aligned with himself. I want to focus on that key part though of that verse that Satan says. So Satan being the evil, the negative, biblically he was an angel who was thrown down out of heaven. So again, it's a spiritual being, right? If you are God. Satan says that to him. If you are God. So Jesus is being tempted. And Satan's temptation, and this is several times throughout this, but that one is like the most, stands out the most to me, that Satan says, if you are God. Now, why would Satan ask the literal Son of God if he was really the Son of God? Why on earth would that be included in the temptations? Did Jesus not already know that he was the Son of God? And what he had been sent to earth to do? You'd think so, right? Because he's literally God. Well, he did, but Jesus was doubting who he was. A human experience, right? He's a spiritual being having a human experience. Jesus doubted who he was. He hadn't yet started his ministry here on earth. So he had just been baptized, and the Spirit led him into the wilderness to fast for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, so he hadn't even started ministry yet. And something I found really interesting was that the Spirit, which was within Jesus, led him to the wilderness to fast and be tempted. It wasn't to fast and pray. It was to fast and be tempted. I thought that was really interesting there because that was what the purpose was. It's not separated or prayer added in that part of Matthew or in Luke. So, because Luke also recounts it is more in depth, much like Matthew. Mark just mentions it of the 4 Gospels. So, and Luke's account is in Luke 4. He says it as well, that, if you are the Son of God, is what Satan says to him. Temptation is only temptation when it is a thought that becomes action. And our thoughts have a lot of power. That's what that tells me. A lot of power. Not that they're inherent sins, but that they have a lot of power. So Jesus was trying to align his thoughts to whom he was, and there was doubt. We're told all throughout the Bible that we have to align our thoughts with our Creator, within our own spirits. In Matthew 14:31, later on in Jesus' ministry, Peter walks on water to Jesus. except the wind and waves distracted Peter, and he started to sink. So he cried out for Jesus. And Jesus saves him, of course. He reaches for him and saves him. And, when he pulls him up out of the water, Jesus says, dude, what happened? Man, you didn't believe in me enough. You didn't have enough faith. Man, come on. Why'd you doubt me, dude? So, of course, I'm paraphrasing there, but this was Jesus talking to his friend, to his disciples. So he's not saying, hey, man, you were doing wrong. I told you so. I told you to have faith. You're sinning. No. He was like, hey, dude, what on earth? Why'd you get so distracted? He just wasn't pointing the finger at him. He wasn't telling him what a sinner he was. He wasn't telling him, you're being humans and, blah, 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 you're doing wrong, man. Jesus was just pointing him in the right direction, probably pretty kindly as a friend, because our thoughts have to align with our higher power and have to align with our inner spirits. They have to. Otherwise, we're running around in circles. Doubt is a normal human experience that even Jesus, as a human, experienced. As a human, God wearing a human suit, literally. What we see over and over throughout the Bible is humans doing human things because they have forgotten they are spiritual beings. Jesus knew because he was God, but he also forgot because he was human. Isn't that what we do? We forget that we have all the power of the universe inside us. We doubt the power we wield. We doubt who we are because we are all the children of God. The difference is whether or not we accept her spirit through baptism and then align ourselves with this being, with the spirit that is God. Because again, we are a spiritual being already. Our thoughts and feelings inherently aren't sin, but when we trust them and take action, then they become sin. Our thoughts and feelings aren't sin. They're just not. Our feelings are neutral. They're not good or bad. Our thoughts truly are neutral. They're not good or bad. It's when we continue the thoughts. When something loops through our brain and we continue focusing on it and then take action based on those thoughts. That is when it becomes a sin. And sin being an offense to God, our higher power, sin, an offense to our own spirit or our own higher power within us, okay? So God and our higher power being one and the same, but our spiritual being within us is also separate and melded with God. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, I might be able to explain more on that later. If Jesus had followed the thought of doubt, he would have taken the action that Satan presented to him and thrown himself off the temple. That would have been a sin. But instead, Jesus remained perfect. He never offended God or himself. Doubt isn't wrong. It just doesn't serve us in our life. It doesn't align with the creator of the universe to manifest good things. I wish I could say that Satan would only tempt us for 40 days, but none of us are perfect. We're purely the Spirit of God, as Jesus was and is. But we are given hope that we can align our thoughts and hearts to our Creator. It's what our spirit within longs for. When Jesus was on the cross, after his 3 years of ministry, he cried out to God, my God, why have you forsaken me? It reminds me of me in that shower. God, do you love me? Please tell me that you love me. Again, did God forsake him on the cross? Or was Jesus' human experience so powerful, much like fasting for 40 days, that he questioned God? That he doubted God? Jesus was physically dying and bleeding out love for us while he doubted his own power, which is God. For a long time, I questioned God. I doubted God. I lived however I wanted because you know what? The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. So what difference did any of it make? I deconstructed my faith. A part of me always believed that there was a higher power, but, she wasn't giving me any satisfactory answers. I did talk about this in a previous video, so I won't go into it much here. But I couldn't see beyond my own experience, beyond my own doubt, and I took action regarding that doubt and my previous experiences. But the beauty is that the creator of the universe today is omnipotent and omniscient and can handle my questions, even my disbelief. She was patient, caring, loving, even though I fought her, kicking and screaming. She still took care of my needs despite myself. When I was ready to listen again, she told me I am. She told me that she loved me. She told me that I am worthy. She told me that I am loved. I am perfect. I am whole. I was created with a purpose. I am. I doubted and have in turn found the real creator, the real higher power, the one revealing truth to me and revealing herself to me. It's so far an incredible journey of transformation. And I'm actually really, really thankful for the deconstruction of my own faith, because I wouldn't be having any of this if it wasn't for the doubts and the questions. And knowing that if God was real, she could handle it. If she wasn't real, it didn't matter anyway. I'm thankful that she's real. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you got something out of that. And will join me again tomorrow. I can't promise anything super inspiring, but it's quite a journey, and I hope that you'll join me. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment. Until next time.